My name is Patty Holly. I'm the manager of the Jean Golding Institute here at the University of Bristol. And thank you very much for joining us on Data Week 2024. Today, I had the pleasure to introduce Dr. Neil Poon and Poppy Taylor, and they're going to be talking about data donation, innovating public involvement in health research. So for today's session, I would like to introduce you Dr. Neil Poon, Senior Research Associate in the Bristol Medical School, and Poppy Taylor, also at the Bristol Medical School.
Hello, everyone. So I can't see you anymore, but I hope you can hear me and see me okay. So my name is Neil, and in the call we also got Poppy here as well. We are from the University of Bristol, and we're in a lab called Digital Footprint Lab. So today we're going to talk about data donation. Some of you may be familiar with it, or some of you may not. So I will talk about more what it is, and also what we're doing with this kind of data collection method as well. So my name is Neil. So I'm a postdoc at Bristol, and I'm a psychologist. I have a PhD at Warwick, and I have done quite a lot of research in different areas. For example, consumer research, food consumption as well. But today I'm going to talk more about public health, especially about chronic pain, and also about subjective well-being as well, and also quite a lot about pretty much public health in general. And Poppy, do you want to talk a bit about yourself a little bit? I think it's a good time maybe to talk about your research, your PhD.
Cool. Hi everyone, I'm Poppy. I'm a first-year PhD student at Bristol Medical School, working with Neo and the rest of the Digital Footprints Lab on a project which is looking at menstrual health and shopping data, which I'll talk a bit more about shortly. My background is in biological sciences and sustainability.
So this is today's agenda. So we'll do a little bit of introduction to talk about what is data donation, and also a little bit about some kind of interactive element that we want to know more about yourself, you guys as well. And then we'll have two presentations. One is from Poppy, and then the other one is from myself. And we will have mock research tasks because I want to give a bit of context of what we do, and also get you guys more familiar with what exactly is data donation and how it actually works. And finally, we have some time for a little bit of discussion of again what we do. So please join us on Menti. So we got three different ways to you got the three different ways to join. You can type obviously the exact link, or you can go to Mentimeter and then enter the code. Or if you're using your phone, you can also use the QR code as well. And Poppy, can you actually post a link in the chat, please?
Yeah, just popped it in there.
Right, that's great. I'll wait here for about 20 seconds so people can join, whatever means you want to join, and then I will show the question. Okay, so we already got quite a lot of response. So I can see quite a lot of people. So 4 people from academia, including PhD, and then other people in public sector as well. I mean, I look in the chat, I think some of you are from Really Curious, and also quite a lot of you are from the university itself. So I think we have a pretty good mix of different people today. I guess I would jump to the next slide. So it's about actually why you guys are here. Because some of you may be already quite familiar with data donation. Maybe you're doing research with it, but some of you may be planning to do it, or some of you are just curious of what data donation actually is. So again, please fill in. Again, I guess we got pretty good mix in here. Most people say you're just curious of what it is, and obviously we talk more about it. And I do see some people already doing research with data donation, and this is somewhat surprising. We will talk about actually data donation is kind of new as well, so not that many people in the UK are actually doing research. So at the end, if you can share what you're doing and also what kind of data you're collecting at the very end at the discussion, that would be very great as well. And I will jump back to the presentation, so hope you can see it. So data donation essentially is people, they consent to and then donate data for research. And some example would be, for example, some kind of phone data, maybe GPS, maybe some kind of Fitbit of physical activities or sleeping pattern, that sort of data. And then today we'll talk more about shopping data, especially loyalty card data. And then people can look into, for example, how much calories that people actually consume, what kind of medicine that people buy, or what kind of alcohol people actually buy. And bank data is not as common, but it's something that increasingly popular, and then maybe something that people can donate as well. It may be quite complicated to donate compared to other type of data, but it's possible. And obviously, social media will be a very popular and very common way to do it in Europe as well. So people can donate their Facebook, their Twitter X, and also probably Instagram and WhatsApp as well. So there are a lot of people creating different tools to do it. And just want to quickly show you guys a video about what data donation is. I already talked about it, but I guess it's good to look into that as well.
With many things we do in our daily lives, we leave behind digital traces. For example, when sending a text message, scrolling through timelines on social media platforms, making transactions, or when we're traveling, digital traces are left behind. Thanks to the GDPR, organizations need to provide a copy of personal digital trace data upon request. Relevant parts of this digital trace data can be donated for research. Data donation gives academic researchers access to a variety of rich data sources, and it can be supplemented with other data, such as questionnaires, diaries, or even MRI scans. Thanks to data donation, researchers can answer questions in new ways, such as, how is well-being related to social media use? How are online and offline social networks connected? Or, how long and far do people travel with various means of transportation? Interested in data donation? Visit datadonation.eu to learn more.
So from here, I think I will stop sharing my screen, and Poppy can do your presentation and to share us about your research.
So yeah, as I said, I'm a first year PhD student working with Digital Footprints Lab. And I'm just going to share some of the plans for my project, which is looking at using shopping data to study how people manage menstruation. So just for a bit of context, we have some previous research from a member of our team who looked at menstrual pain using shopping data, and they found insights on prevalence and socioeconomic disparities. So, for example, they found that over a quarter of customers who were purchasing menstrual products were simultaneously buying pain relief, suggesting that around a quarter of people were experiencing menstrual pain. And they also found that customers from the lowest income region were nearly a third less likely to make menstrual pain purchasing, so suggesting some of the priorities that people have in a cost of living crisis. My research is building on this. So I'm interested in the relationships between menstrual health symptoms, socioeconomic inequalities, and management strategies. And as you can see here, these are some of the potential insights that we might be able to gain through using shopping data by looking at certain patterns in purchasing. So, for example, we might be able to find insights on a national level about symptoms such as pain and heavy bleeding through what people are buying. This project is using shopping data history as a novel data source, and the approaches that I'll be using for this project include reviewing the literature, conducting surveys on public attitudes, trying to evaluate how useful shopping data is as a tool for researching health, and whether we can identify some kind of practical policy solutions, such as identifying areas that might benefit from dedicated pain clinics if there are regional differences. So some of the current projects I'm working on include a literature review and a mini project, the working title, which is Moderators of Consent, where I'm working with another postdoc from our team, Romana, to look at socio-demographic factors and how they influence people's willingness to share shopping data for research. And for that, we're using data that's been collected from 2 previous surveys from the Ausbach cohort study. I'll also be working with Neo on his chronic pain survey with some shopping data linkage, which Neo will tell you a bit more about shortly. The survey includes a few specific questions on menstrual pain, which is where I come into it. Yeah, I'd just like to summarise by thanking my supervisors, funders and colleagues at the Digital Footprints Lab. So I'll hand you back over to Neo now.
Thank you, Poppy. So let me share my screen again. Right. Yes, as mentioned, Poppy, we'll be talking about chronic pain and also what we actually do with shopping data and how we link survey data to shopping data as well. And the background is that chronic pain is a problem around the world, and some people estimate that over 10% of the UK population and probably maybe over 20% of the world populations are suffering from chronic pain. And also people estimate there are probably over 20 million annual pain days worldwide. But some people argue this may be an underestimation because of the usual problem. A lot of time when we do research on pain, they use some kind of self-report, they maybe do some kind of survey, maybe phone people as well. And then we have all kind of biases, and also it's very limited. Resources can be quite limited when you do survey to measure chronic pain. So one alternative way to do it actually we get shopping data. And this is especially relevant to our lab because we have partnership with different pharmacy chains, shopping retail chain in the UK, such as Boots or Co-op, something like that. But the challenge is, first of all, how do we even define chronic pain? Because if people buy painkiller, let's say once per month or maybe 5 times per month, so at what point we can define chronic pain and say, hey, this customer really is suffering from chronic pain? And then the second problem is actually an assumption that people buy more painkiller when they're suffering from pain. This seems like common sense, but people may not actually do it. People might be, they can be suffering from pain, but they do actually nothing because they may feel like they cannot do anything, or maybe painkiller doesn't really help either. So we want to test this assumption with our method. So we need some kind of measure for ground truth, and that pretty much means we need some kind of data linkage, and especially we want to link survey response to shopping data. And so the methods, we have some kind of survey. On the left, we have survey items. So I'm going to talk about them one by one, but you can see something like well-being and health in here already. And then on the right, you can see the data sharing component, which is what we most relevant to our talk because it's about data donation. And I'm going to talk about it more in detail. But pretty much we want to link pain experience on the left to shopping data on the right. And for subjective well-being, we are measuring with different type of question survey items. So the most favorite one is ONS4, which is a common way to measure in the UK. So we ask people, for example, how happy you are yesterday, how anxious you were yesterday, something like that. And so we have another scale as well. For health, we have EQ5D. So usually it pretty much is ask people whether you can take care of yourself, whether you have any problem with your usual activities. And so we got one question about pain and discomfort. And for pain, we did ask people about whether people are suffering from pain or not, a binary question. But we give other question, for example, pain intensity by body part. So we ask them whether you're suffering from pain in your head or maybe in your chest. And then we have 10-point scale pretty much. And also we have demographic information like employment, COVID history, and also basic gender and age as well. So on the right, we have the data donation component, especially we are collecting data from Tesco. And I assume everyone in the audience probably are from the UK, but Tesco is the biggest chain in the UK. And basically they have some kind of tools that allow us to collect this data very easily and allow customers to send their data to us. From their point of view, what they need to do is go to Tesco and then they click request your saved data. And they will see something like that. They will click something like start a request, and then they will see this particular page. They will click third parties, and then they input our email address, so email address of our lab, and input it twice to make sure it's correct. And they will get some kind of reference number and some kind of code. And what they need to do is to input these into survey, which is the survey we collect all these pain and well-being, blah, blah, blah. But they input the reference number and the code into the survey. And from our end, what we will have is this is the email, the inbox of our lab, and then we will receive pretty much one email per customer. And from our end, what we need to do is to find the reference number in here on the right, and also find the code as well. And after we input the code, we will download the data report, which is a JSON file for each customer. And that will be the entire shopping history for that particular loyalty card, the cup card. And we finished data collection about a month ago. So we got around 1,000 participants and with about 3 million items. And the demographic is not necessarily representative for the UK, but it's pretty typical for people who finish some kind of survey online. So they are relatively young. The gender balance is quite balanced, and then about 60% working full-time, quite a lot of working part-time or not working at all. And again, this is pretty typical for people who finish some kind of survey. And about 4%, or let's say half of them, report they are suffering from some kind of pain condition, which is a lot higher than previous research. That could be something interesting that we'll look more into. And mental well-being, again, is a bit typical of the population we will expect from people who finish some kind of survey. And for health state, they are also pretty normal. But again, about 50% report that suffering from some kind of pain or discomfort. And with this, I'm going to talk about pain a bit more, but we basically look into the shopping history as well. And then we basically, before we finish data collection, we were concerned that maybe people donate data, but none of the participants actually purchased painkiller. And that would mean that it become useless. But we actually didn't have that problem. We saw that actually at least half the participants purchased some kind of painkiller at least once. And also the mean purchase of painkiller is about 10 or 12, which means the sample is pretty good and it's usable for us to do some kind of analysis. And here we look into the number of painkiller purchased. We basically look at the paracetamol and ibuprofen, so the most two common type of painkiller in the UK. And it's quite, as we predict, it's still inflate. That means a lot of people never purchase painkiller at all, but then the other people, the other half purchase. We got some kind of Poisson regression, Poisson variable in here as well. So essentially, we asked two questions: did they actually buy painkiller? And also how many painkiller they bought after we exclude zero. And then we regress this variable, and then we look into the two pain variable, which is binary, so yes or no. And I know there's a lot of information on here, but pretty much the result is people who are suffering from pain, they did buy more painkillers. And then they also were more likely to buy painkiller as well. We got two different variables and looking into this. So the short discussion on the result is that people who report pain, they did buy more painkillers. And that means we can actually link painkiller purchase with survey response, and we can probably define some kind of chronic pain from shopping data. Although the results are pretty preliminary, so there's a lot to do. For example, painkiller purchase should be normalized, or maybe we can look into other things like well-being or all the variable in the survey as well. So there's quite a lot going on. And in general, I think more relevant to what we talk about in this workshop is that I think people, member of the public, but also myself as well, are quite concerned about sharing the data for research because they're sharing a lot of shopping history, pretty much the entire history from Tesco loyalty card with the researcher. So that's why the sharing rate is pretty low. So we attempt to collect data from about 1,000 participants, but end up we only got about 1,000. So that's less than 5%. And I think one of the reasons why we're doing a lot of public engagement with the curious and also with other venues as well is because we want to tell the public what we're doing and why we need data and to address some of the concerns. So from here, we want to give a bit more context of data donation. So Poppy, can you share the link in the chat? So essentially, this would be a survey, but it's a mock task. So don't try to actually share data. Obviously, we don't actually have time to do it. And also, we are not going to analyze the response in any way. But I think it would be good before we jump into the discussion, we actually do this task and see how it actually works from the point of view of the participant. I thought I can give it maybe 2 to 3 minutes so everyone can have a chance to actually finish the survey.
While you were waiting, do you want to answer a question?
Yes, I just saw the question in the chat. So the question is about how do we account for customer buy painkiller for others? For some people shopping for not just themselves. We did ask that question in the full survey, so not the current mock version you're doing. So we control for essentially we want to make sure whether they're the only shoppers in the household and whether they are share shoppers in the household. And also exclusively in Tesco, we did ask question like that as well. But obviously Tesco is they have huge market share in the UK, so we're not very concerned about it. And also in the future, probably if possible, we'll link Tesco data to boost it as well, so we can have a better picture of what people buy in the UK. So I hope that answers the question. So if everyone got an opportunity to do the MOOCs research, we can go back to Menti. And essentially, one of the things I want to know is how likely you would donate data for research in certain areas. So on the screen, we got 6 different areas here. And if you go with the Menti, you can rank this different area. So that will be quite useful for us to know about this. I think we can talk more about it at the end with the discussion, but I think one thing I noticed is that medicine purchase and also well-being and also alcohol consumption are quite low on in the ranking. And I think one reason maybe people are a bit concerned about data privacy. So because if you share data about, for example, what kind of medicine you purchase, people may not want researchers to find out. So this is actually pretty interesting to us that a lot of you actually rank medicine purchase at the very end. And I think that sort of go very nicely with our next question, which is about what kind of data you actually want to share or don't want to share. And here we got different social media. So I break it down by different social media, but I think people have different opinion on Twitter versus maybe Instagram or Facebook. And also we got media, YouTube history as well. And obviously shopping data, which is the thing I share about. I think this is, to me, it's just somewhat surprising because I guess maybe relatively speaking, social media is not that sensitive compared to banking data or medical history. The person, I think I'll be pretty concerned about sharing social media. I think because there could be a lot of things about personal life and also personal relationship on there as well. But again, I would understand why medical history is very sensitive to share. And again, we can talk more about in the discussion session in about 10 minutes. I think one final slide on here is what would actually stop you from sharing your data. So what are some of the barriers or what are some of your concerns that you would not share there with researchers? So 2 particular points I want to pick out. One is probably about privacy. I think this is very common concern and also one of my own concern as well, because it's partially about where university we share the data with other people and not just use it for research, which is the second point that maybe people will use this data for profit and maybe use it for commercial gain. And then the other point is actually about data security as well, because one of the problem is maybe a university or some kind of organization, they collect data and then they don't secure the database and then it got leaked or maybe it got hacked, which is another concern that people usually have in this scale research. Yeah, this point got pointed out as well. So I think what I would do is I will do a very short conclusion on from our end, and then we'll open up the floor. So if you have any question or if you want to have any kind of discussion, feel free to say something. And data collection is actually very new because it's underlined by GDPR. So GDPR is something that didn't exist about 10 years ago, maybe didn't exist 6 years ago. And a lot of research programs still in their infancy. So I have talked to a lot of people about their donation, and a lot of people are still collecting data. They don't necessarily have results. And a lot of time, these are maybe very early PhD projects. And my experience is that a lot of these research programs are actually in Europe, especially in the German-speaking world or maybe in the Netherlands as well. It is certainly growing in the UK. For example, at the beginning, we have some people saying they are already doing research with data donation, that collecting data with this method. And this is very exciting because usually it is something that didn't exist in the UK. And we already talked about it a little bit. So there's a lot of concern about legal and technical aspect. And for example, it's data minimization. So do we need this much data? For example, if we ask about shopping data, they with the method, we will pretty much collect the entire history from Tesco or maybe other store as well. Then the question is, do we actually need this much data? If we only look into pain, for example, chronic pain, can we just ask, for example, to donate the painkiller buying history? And that is the technical aspect because Tesco doesn't allow participants to do it very easy. We actually do need to collect a lot of data. And that is the second point about their storage. So how do we secure all this data? How do we protect it? Do we have people with the technical aspect to actually secure the database and to make sure it doesn't get hacked? And one of the fun things, do they actually represent the UK population? Because people who donate data, usually they are the population that they are quite good with technology. So they will do online survey and they can also do this kind of sharing code. We even download it onto the computer and share with researchers. That is not necessarily the most typical British population or population in general. So there are a lot of ongoing concern about this kind of research, about legal and technical aspect as well. But obviously, as researchers at Bristol, we're trying our best to secure data to make sure we're actually doing research for good. And that is pretty much the end of my presentation, but I would like to open up the floor. So if people got any question or any kind of discussion, I think that's a good time to do.
Thank you very much, Nia and Poppy. So yeah, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. And Helen from With the Curious just posted that you have a project at With the Curious. Maybe would you like to mention that?
Yes, we're very excited, reopening after some closure period with a project that we're running with Neo and Poppy and their team on the 2nd of July. So we'll be running a public engagement program with them all about this work and the work that they're doing in their lab to kind of get some more feedback from the audiences that we have here about their attitudes towards this kind of data being used, and hopefully that will be able to influence the direction of this research team. And we're really excited to hear what our audiences think about it.
Thank you very much, Helen. Any other questions? I have a question, but I don't know if you know the answers. I know that UKRI is investing a lot in this area of research. I believe it's called Smart Data. And I know that Ania Skatova, which is part of your team, has got some funding on that already. So do you have any updates on what is that research is going to take place? Or I don't know if you have any more information on that.
I am obviously probably Anya knows this better than me, but I think what we're doing is actually with the link medical history, let's say as in data from Ausberg, and also with different types of shopping data as well. So we want to look more into just Tesco. For example, this is related to the previous question. If we only got data from Tesco, we are not actually having the whole shopping history. Only got one retail chain. So the link to maybe co-op, maybe with especially pharmacies, so we got a better picture of what people are buying and what people are consuming. And then also we're looking into other stuff like food consumption, what people actually eat, how much calorie they consume, and also other things like deprivation as well. So we are hopefully we will be one of the strongest lab in the UK with data donation. That's kind of the plan.
Thank you for that update. Maddie, you had a question.
I do. Thank you, Patty. I had two questions actually, but one of them was relating to the data minimization kind of issue. And I work on another project that also kind of gets quite a big amount of data. And it's trying to make this data available for various researchers from different research areas. And I was just wondering, with the data request, and the data donation, if you are getting a load of data that might even be kind of messages or emails back and forth between the customer and Tesco, or kind of various other bits of data, whether there's a way of trying to make this data available to a multitude of researchers and kind of handling it that way, I guess. I'm not sure if that's, it was just something that came to mind.
I think there are different aspects to it. But first thing is, you can ask participants to donate data in different ways. What we're doing is with Tesco. So basically what I showed you guys before. So they input a code and then we receive the data. This is easy for us, but then because the data is not in the hand of the customer, so pretty much they donate every single thing. But for other researchers, especially the other research group I mentioned that they're in Europe, what they try to do is they ask participants to download their data and they input into some kind of software. So they show all the data to the participant, and then they can select what they want to donate. And for someone, maybe they only want to donate certain type of shopping history to the researcher. That will increase the transparency of the research and probably is more ethical if you put it that way. But it's more complicated for the researcher because you need the participant to download the data and then to do a lot of stuff from the end. So there's a huge barrier for it. But I guess this is actually what people do usually with social media or other kind of shopping data as well. And basically with Tesco, we're actually very lucky that they have this particular tool for us to collect data, but it's not the case for, let's say, other researchers in the UK or around the world. And I think you also mentioned sharing data with an institute or other research. That is complicated from the point of view of the university because obviously you need ethical approval. And it's complicated in the sense that when we apply for ethics, when you write in the research team, especially with, for example, Anya and I, also Poppy and Roman in the code as well. So we write in their names in the ethical. So it is, again, very complicated. And from the point of view of a participant, maybe they need to share data multiple times. For example, maybe they're doing something for campaign, but then maybe they got data collected by Bristol and then by Oxford or Cambridge. That might be quite annoying for them, but this is how research need to work. We want to make sure we're ethical in what we're doing. So it's a bit difficult to search across different universities, especially we're not entirely sure about where the infrastructure is secure and what we, cloud computing usually are not share across uni. So that is a problem.
Thank you very much. Maddie, do you have another question?
I did, but maybe there's somebody else or a couple of people in the chat that have got things to say, so I can hold fire.
Sure. So yeah, we have another comment, I would say, from Janice Rook, and she was talking about that data that you got today about what people are willing to share, and that was surprising that some people are willing to share more social media than the Shopee data. And she's thinking maybe it's because with social media is a self-representation of your life rather than maybe actual events. So I don't know if you have any comments on that comment.
I will reflect a little bit on this. I think, first of all, I agree. And also, I think one of my experience with people and also listen to other talk is people think social media are already doing a lot with your data and doing a lot of point for marketing or for purpose that we don't even understand. So sometimes people might think social media or Google or Meta or X, they already collected so much data to do, whatever. We don't even understand. So maybe if we share with research, at least we're doing some good and, our data is not ours anyway. So this is one of the common opinions from people. And people usually don't think about it the same way when you talk about banking data, because you expect banking data to be more secure. And usually you don't expect banks to share data for marketing or whatever purposes. So that could be one of the reasons why a lot of people, not people in the core, but also a lot of participants in Europe or in UK, they are interested in sharing the social media data. And also another reason is social media seems interesting to share because you can look into different network, you can look into misinformation that especially relevant to us because the elections are coming up and coming up in many countries as well. So people might actually want to contribute to this research to understand more about public opinion and polarization and that sort of research.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. I just wanted to add that I think this comment also highlights one of the major benefits of using shopping data for this kind of research. because, for example, with menstrual health, if you ask me, oh, how much pain was I using, or how heavy was my flow 6 months ago, or a year ago, I wouldn't have a clue. But by looking back at shopping data history, we've got the actual evidence there. It doesn't rely on those self-reporting methods. And so, yeah, this could be a huge opportunity for health research.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? So Helen just posted an invite to go back to We the Curious, and we are all very excited that We the Curious is opening again. So we will be there, I'm sure. But yeah, hope you can make it as well. I have one more question, sorry. I'm taking too many questions. How about Tesco's? Because obviously, I guess they know that you're using the data they're collecting. Have they been talking to you? What do they think?
So for this particular tool we share, we don't need approval from Tesco. It's between us and the participant. So we are not, for this particular project, we're not in communication with Tesco. And I think from their point of view, probably they want to do some good because they don't. So GDPR, how it works is they are legally required to share your data with you if you request, but they are not legally required to have this particular tool or this particular interface. So this is actually something they chose to do. And I think Tesco probably want to do at least some good, or maybe if you're really cynical, maybe they want to allow other company to collect it. That's why they allow this interface for company, or maybe you need to do it. But I think it's good for us. And to answer the question, we're not really in touch with Tesco about this, but we do want other kind of partnership with Tesco and other retail chain, because data donation is one way to do it. We got obviously a lot of transparency. We got survey items, so we got demographic as well. But another way to do is obviously we talk to researcher, talk to retailer, and then we got data was of billions of people. But when we do that, we don't really have demographics, so we have to do some kind of regional analysis, which is different and sort of limit what we can do. So pretty much we want partnership with retail chain, but also we want data donation from participants. And if possible, we want to do both and to increase the quality of evidence of, whether people are suffering from pain, what's the prevalence of pain.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? If not, I think I'm just gonna share my screen for the last time. Just wanted to, right? So just wanted to say thank you again for being here. I think there's gonna be a feedback form that is gonna be on the chat. If you can please fill in the feedback form, that'd be great, because we wanted to make all these events better and hopefully organize next year's Data Week. We would like to thank the presenters a lot. Thank you very much for being part of Data Week. And if you want to stay in touch, we have a newsletter. We organize events across the year, like Jean's birthday, for example. So I hope you can come to Jean's birthday as well. And with the Curious, and then you can go and see the shopping trolley exhibition as well. So, can do both things at the same time. And if you use the QR code, you can find more information about how to join the newsletter and our website, etc. And I think I don't have anything else to say, but yeah, thank you so much for being part of Data Week. And I hope to see you in the next events and on the in-person event at Bristol City Hall. Thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.